tell us what's behind NVIDIA today. That stock's having a pretty good day, up almost 4%.
It is. A couple things happening here. We have NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang completing his pre-planned stock sales that amasses over $700 million from mid-June to mid-September. That's according to a latest SEC filing. Worth noting, Huang is NVIDIA's largest individual shareholder, owning about 4% of the company stock. Separately, UBS Intelligence out with a new AI note today. They believe that semiconductors like NVIDIA, Broadcom, and TSMC remain the biggest beneficiaries of big tech's robust spend on artificial intelligence. We sort of already knew that, but they think that trend continues, Scott. Just looking at the price action, NVIDIA now up about 13% from that dip earlier this month. The average Wall Street's target on NVIDIA, 148, and I would point out shares are trading at 120 and change.
Yeah, no, appreciate that. Real quick to you, Bob. Semis have not traded well of late. That's been one of the areas of concern in this market. So, yeah, thank you.
We're going to see Micron could change that. That's going to be out on Wednesday. Of course, that's in a very specific space, the memory space, not necessarily the same spot that NVIDIA works in. But look, just the fact that we've had this dip in semis and the market is sitting at new highs shows you the rally, the rotation that goes on. On days, some days we see consumer stocks do better, consumer staples do better, and healthcare defensive names, and tech tends to rise. You get this beautiful rotation that's going on a daily basis. Yes, semis are down here, but that is not an awful chart. That is some consolidation to me. That is a sideways for the last month or so. I'm not that worried.
Are you worried about semis right now? They haven't traded well at all.
I think that in the medium term, it's still wildly bullish. I think in the next October and January kind of guidance season, it's hard for margins to go up. It's hard for people to see, proof cases from the hyperscalers. But ultimately,
you say mildly or wildly bullish?
Wildly bullish, and I'm still very bullish on the whole
semis.
Complex. Yeah, in like any.
How can you be cautious on the market and wildly bullish on the semis?
In any 12 or 24 month time frame, as you know, right now, gross margins peaking for NVIDIA. We've been writing for 25 years that you buy semis until the margins peak. I think on the other side of that, this is a new world. Semis grew GDP plus 2 for 20 years. Now it's like GDP plus 7 or 8. And so the multiple is going to be much higher in the future than the past. So I think you just have to get through this sort of challenge about hyperscaler spending. And on the other side of it, when you see more cases of companies being productive, you'll be back to trading those things. So NVIDIA's only $20 down from all-time high, so it's not like it's acting that bad. But I think it'll be way higher in 2 or 3 years.
Mike, I'm just curious, and I don't need to put you on the spot if I do, but NVIDIA had an interesting ramp sort of midday today, and I'm just wondering if you notice anything interesting going on with that name.
Yeah, well, NVIDIA was actually the top of the list. I mentioned that 5 of the top 10 most active, call options in single stock space were the chips, and NVIDIA was number 1. We also saw a lot of flow, though, I should say, in names that don't necessarily have a proprietary lock on the market. I mean, beaten up Intel was in the mix. We saw AMD and Broadcom, and actually Micron was number 10. So, I mean, NVIDIA is always busy. It's really the busiest one, and of course we got a big pop in the stock, and there was a lot of call buying on the back of that.
All right, I hope you're all having a great day today. NVIDIA had a nice green day, finishing up nearly 4% today. This is due to NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang having completed his scheduled sale of shares, which brought in more than $700 million in proceeds. This is, of course, good news for NVIDIA. And while it might sound crazy, $700 million of selling over the course of 3 months does not really make a big dent in NVIDIA's share price. But this situation is more about the optics of a company executive selling shares. Some traders and investors perceive Jensen selling shares as a cause for concern. And so the fact that Jensen has now completed this sale is very good news for sentiment surrounding NVIDIA. So after today's close, we are once again right up against this resistance trend line. I looked at NVIDIA's chart on multiple time frames, and I didn't see anything that stuck out to me as overly bullish or overly bearish in the short term. So in the immediate term, I really think this could go either way. We'll have to wait and see if we break through this trend line or get rejected again. So that's what I'm paying attention to in the short term. Now, whether we break above the trend line or not, I am cautious regarding NVIDIA until we get past early November. There are multiple reasons for this. Of course, there is an election which could lead to an increase in market volatility. October is historically the month in which the stock market trades lower and finds a bottom before rallying into year-end. And on top of all this attention surrounding NVIDIA, and by extension NVIDIA's share price, tends to move in cycles in between earnings. This is an oversimplified graphic, and I'm just trying to communicate the underlying concept here. This cycle has already taken place twice this year, with NVIDIA reaching a relative low about 3 to 5 weeks prior to the company's next earnings report. Of course, patterns tend to repeat themselves, but they don't always have to. If this pattern were to repeat itself, then we could see NVIDIA reach a relative low low sometime in late October/early November. So considering NVIDIA's typical cycle, considering the election, and considering the seasonality of October for the stock market, I am cautious about adding to NVIDIA until we get past early November. I do want to remind you of some events that are coming up soon. NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang is scheduled to speak in DC this Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern. Jensen is scheduled to speak in India on October 24th, and Jensen is scheduled to speak in Japan on November 13th. It will be interesting to see if NVIDIA's share price reacts to any of these events. Also, I almost forgot, another reason that NVIDIA was trading higher today is because Morgan Stanley said they think NVIDIA could bring in $10 billion of Blackwell revenue in Q4. Remember that NVIDIA is expecting several billion dollars in revenue from Blackwell in Q4. And so $10 billion would be much higher than the guidance NVIDIA has given thus far. Now, I don't know if this will happen or not, but that is what Morgan Stanley is saying, and this also helped NVIDIA trade higher today. So in the immediate term, I don't know what to expect because anything could happen. I am cautious about adding to NVIDIA until we get past early November. And from a long-term perspective, I am bullish on the future of NVIDIA, and I think the company's brightest days are ahead. I would not be surprised if NVIDIA doubles over the next 2 years given NVIDIA's current growth trajectory and upcoming product cycles. If you're a long-term investor, I wouldn't worry about the short-term gyrations in the share price. This can be a volatile stock from day to day. Long-term, though, I think this company has brighter days ahead, and I think NVIDIA will be worth substantially more in the future than it is today. At least that's what I think about the situation. So those are my thoughts on NVIDIA, and now I'm going to change gears and recap most of what I said in today's first video about Tesla in case you missed it. And then we'll end the video after that. Yesterday, Tesla was higher on the news regarding the US and foreign connected car technology. And today we got news about Chinese stimulus, which is also good news for Tesla. And both news events are on top of what I think is already a very compelling setup. As I mentioned in yesterday's video, Tesla broke above this resistance trend line, closed above a key supply zone, closed the gap that formed back in July, and we also got a 3-bar setup on the daily time frame. All of this is good news for Tesla as we get closer to October 10th. For those who don't know, I'm currently in a Tesla swing trade ahead of the robo-taxi event. More specifically, I'm trading shares of a 2x leveraged Tesla ETF, as I explained in a video that I posted back on Labor Day Monday. Of course, markets were closed on Labor Day Monday, so if we use the closing price from the prior Friday TSLL, is up about 35% since I posted that video. So I'm very happy with this trade thus far, and I intend to do exactly what I said in that video. I intend to hold this position until early October as long as the robo-taxi event is not delayed again. So that's what I'm doing. Now looking ahead, the next event for Tesla is when we get delivery numbers in early October, probably around October 2nd. I'll be honest with you, I don't know if these numbers will be great or not. Hopefully the numbers are good, but I'm not so sure. The Fed is in the process of cutting interest rates right now, and so I think a lot of people will hold back on purchasing new vehicles for right now since interest rates are coming down and are expected to be much lower a year from now than they are at the current moment. I've heard a lot of analysts say they are optimistic about Tesla's upcoming delivery numbers, but that kind of concerns me in terms of the stock, because if analysts are expecting good delivery numbers, then that leaves less room for a positive surprise when the numbers are released. So here's the thing, I don't know how the market will react to Tesla delivery numbers, but even if Tesla trades lower after delivery numbers are released, I would expect the stock to find a bottom and then move higher from that bottom as we get closer to the robo-taxi event on October 10th. So if Tesla trades lower on delivery numbers, I genuinely think that may be a good swing trade buying opportunity ahead of the robo-taxi event. At least that's what I think about the situation. While I don't know what will happen in the short term because anything could happen, I think the bullish price action surrounding Tesla will grow stronger the closer we get to October 10th, as long as the rest of the market can simply remain calm. Like I said, I intend to follow through with exactly what I said back on Labor Day. I intend to hold this position at least until early October as long as the event is not delayed again. With all of that being said, I hope you all have a great day, and I'm curious to hear what you think in the comments below. Please leave a like on this video so more people will see it. And while you're down there, please consider subscribing. It's free, and you can always change your mind. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.